I believe that we each have unique soul gifts to share with the world. You know that you've been listening to this podcast for a while. And the women that I work with tell me that they think my soul gifts have been in supporting them to build awareness of what you really want out of your private practice and within your life, moving you towards your goals in a structured and confident manner, feeling more calm, in control and confident by thinking through how you'll focus your day, and supporting you to consistently receive referrals each week. When we work together, you will raise your awareness of how much energy you're putting into your practice. You will receive practical advice and steps that you can implement straight away, and you'll finally let go of the need to be constantly working hard in inverted commas, and you'll still see results. Plus, I'll teach you how to see opportunities for abundance for your practice and your life just about everywhere. If you're listening to this and it's landing for you, we're destined to meet. Tell me more about where you're at, and we can see together if my coaching program is going to be the right support for you right now. Book your call using the link in the show notes. I can't wait to connect with you. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storme. Thank you so much for pushing play on another episode. And of course, a great big welcome to all the new listeners and subscribers. I'm so pleased that you're here. Today is Wednesday. It's about 3:15 in the afternoon. And I'm really, really happy because I put a post up in Counselling group that I'm in, asking them, what they really needed some help with, because I would love to be able to continue to provide podcasts that are, we use the word value, but I think for me that means they're actually useful and you're going to get something out of it. It's not going to be a wasted half an hour for you. So I asked people what they were really needing more support with at the moment, and conversations have already begun and people have already started sharing their ideas. So I think I've got topics now for the next 5 or 6 episodes, which is fantastic. The one that seems to have the most traction at the moment came from a lady in the group, and I won't say her name, obviously. Want to protect her privacy. Plus, I haven't asked her for permission to say it. But she's saying, should I focus on social media, SEO on my website, blogs, podcasts, Facebook ads, Google ads, listing sites like Psychology Today? I'm just feeling really overwhelmed with being told to do something different by everyone I talk to. I've come to a grinding halt and I'm not doing anything. So her question is really around how and where to attract clients. And you know what? This is a really common experience, and it's something that happens not only for new counsellors and psychologists and social workers, but even ones of us who've been in the trade for a long time still have trouble with marketing. And I think one of the reasons for that is because nobody's ever really taught us how to do it. But don't worry, fear not. Referrals is my jam, guys. We're going to get that diary booked. And I can absolutely help you with this in a way that's not going to suck your energy. It's not going to be draining. In fact, it will feel really light and easy, and you'll wonder why nobody ever taught you before. Honestly, you're going to get so much out of this episode. So where to start? Well, let's look at what's probably going on. I work with women in private practice, okay? And one of the things for many of them is how to use social media, for example, or their podcasts or email and websites and things like that to attract clients. And they are doing all of the things and they're not getting the traction. And there are a few reasons why. Okay. Now, this might be hard to hear, and I don't mean to offend anybody. But I mean, I'm totally in my masculine energy today because you're telling me you need some structure and guidance. So that's what I'm going to give you. First off, just because you're posting on social media every day doesn't mean you're doing it well. There are many people that post on social media every single day and they don't get much work from it, if any. And there's a reason for that. When I say that they're not doing it well, what I mean is there's no strategy behind it. It's just very random. It's hit and miss. Somebody somewhere has mentioned, or they've heard, or they've been told by someone that you need to be online every single day. And that's just not true. It's not. I'm not posting every single day. And, I don't have a shortage of clients. So let go of that idea. That might be the story that other people have had, and somehow you've made it yours, but it's actually not. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is there are people that say that they post every day and they're not getting clients. And when I go and have a look at their Facebook, what I'm seeing is all they're doing is sharing other people's stuff. And what's happening is they're driving clients and bookings to other people's websites, because they're not putting love into what they're doing. They're not supporting their community, and their community is very different to other people. So if you're not going to give it the love and the care and the time that it needs, save yourself and everybody the effort and just don't do it. I think sharing posts is really lazy. And I know that that's not a nice thing for some of you to hear, but I know others of you do need to hear that. I think there's obviously a time and a place where sharing other people's posts is absolutely wonderful, especially when there's there's really great content, or there's a really great theme, or it's a special day or a special occasion. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about people who do it day in, day out, sharing posts. And you and I've seen that. That's not going to get you a client, because the client doesn't know who you are and what you're doing and what you're standing for. Okay. So if you're sharing posts, please stop because it's not working for you. There are some people that tell me, in addition to being online every day and they're posting on the Facebook and Instagram, the other thing that they'll say to me is, and I have a website and I have a blog. So, okay, go and have a look at the website. The website is vanilla. This is a problem. This is a big problem. Again, I think it just comes down to really not knowing and being misinformed by people in our space about what needs to be on a website. And I made the same mistakes when I was first starting mine too. I was like you, I had no idea what to put on a website. And I was told, go and look at other people's websites and, that'll give you an idea of what to put. And so that's what I did. And what ended up happening was I had a whole other I had a whole website that didn't sound like me, that wasn't attracting the right clients, that was very cold. My about section read like a resume. How on earth is that going to attract a client? It's not. You shouldn't have an about section. You need to have an origin story. It's 2021 now. It's not the 2000 and noughties anymore. Our consumers have evolved. Society has evolved. And if you have an about me section, it's probably a bit of an issue. And people will click on that because usually they want to see a photo. They're not usually checking to see if you're qualified or anything like that. So I think it's wasted space on your website. I think you could delete that and you could write your origin story in place of it. And if you were insisting on writing your resume, I would do it as a footnote at the bottom of that. I would just say, about Brooklyn. Brooklyn holds a PhD and has been a psychologist for over 21 years and now works as a private practice. And I would just do all of that and then list the qualifications as a footnote, not as the main feature. The other problem with websites is a lot of them just aren't easy to navigate. And you have to remember, we need a way of communicating with your client, which is going to be different to my client, which is going to be different to our colleague's client and her client and his client and all of that sort of stuff. And remember, that same client is probably clicking on multiple therapy websites. And if you're all saying the same thing, how on earth is that client going to choose the right person? What ends up happening is they end up choosing by price, and you do not want to be chosen because you're the cheapest counsellor. It makes sense, right? You don't want to be chosen because you're the cheapest counsellor. You want to be chosen by that client because they say, oh my gosh, she gets me, she understands me, she knows what it's like to be in my shoes, perhaps, or whatever it is you want to say. The other thing with websites being poorly done is a lot of them don't have a message, or the message is very generic. It's around, as therapists playing it really safe. And, there are so many therapy websites that say, so-and-so is a caring, compassionate, down to earth therapist who's going to treat you with privacy and who cares? Like, come on, guys, all about building relationships. Use those skills that you use in a first consultation with a new client and apply them to your website. That means think about when you're face-to-face with a client, how do you build rapport? Now apply that to your website. How can you build rapport with somebody over your website? Flip it around and think about it like this way. If your website was a real life person and you were sitting in front of that person and they were just talking, telling you everything that was on their website, what would you think? You would think, this person doesn't stop for breath. This person just talks about themselves the whole time. This person hasn't shown any interest in me, hasn't asked me anything. I'm not feeling a connection. Right? Sometimes thinking about your website as a living, breathing thing that you can interact with and imagining that it's just, telling you everything that's on it. It's kind of like an empty chair technique, but you're using it with your website. If you're not feeling that connection, clients aren't going to feel that connection. And so you can come to me and you can say, Brooklyn, I'm posting on social media. I've got a website and I've got a blog and none of this works. It doesn't work. So now I'm going to do Instagram and TikTok and build an email list. But you know what? Without having some fundamentals in place, none of that's going to work either. You need to be focusing less on yourself and more on your client. This is the thing, less about you. Think about when you're having a session with a client. You're doing most of the listening, right? It's got to be the same with the website. It's got to be the same with the message that you're sharing, whether you're sharing it in social media or whether you're sharing it in a podcast or email or wherever you share it. Okay? Which brings me to the next thing. Sometimes people tell me that they're blogging and, or I've got a blog and that's not even sending clients to me. And I'll go and have a look and you know what? They haven't put a post up since 1999 and they're saying to me, this is a blog. I mean, I'm being extreme here, but let's say if your blog hasn't been touched for the last 6 to 12 months, we've got a problem. What that indicates to a potential client is they're going to think, is she still open? Has she closed? What's going on here? Why hasn't this blog been updated? It feels like a bit of a ghost town. Well, if she can't even look after her blog, how's she going to be with me in a session? I think if you're not going to be consistent with your blog, don't do one. All right. And you don't need one to get clients. This is a big myth in our industry that, it started maybe about 10 or 15 years ago that it's a myth that's been, perpetuated. And it says that you have to be blogging in order to attract clients. And it's just not true. It's like one of the biggest fallacies. The reason that blogging was popular and still is because of a few things. Number one, it can help you connect to your client, of course. But number two, it's an opportunity on your website for you to boost your page's ranking in Google. That's simple. And you do that through something called SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization, which is a really fancy term that simply means making sure that your page is going to rank highly by ensuring it has relevant keywords. And a keyword is just something that you and I type into Google when we're searching for things. So in our case, a keyword would be, what are your clients typing into Google when they're looking for a counsellor? All right. Now, the really common ones are, they'll say counsellor in Tamworth, or they'll say male counsellor in Tamworth, or female counsellor in Tamworth, or they might say counselling for anxiety in Tamworth. And so what we can see here is people will type in what they want, like counselling or Reiki or distance healing or, whatever it is you're doing. They'll type that in. They'll usually type male or female. They will usually type the location. They might even type the word online. And what happens is Google then does a really, really faster than lightning check of every single page that it's got. And it's going to show the person who typed that search all the pages that have those keywords. And if you don't have those keywords, your page is not going to get shown. It might get shown, your website might get shown on page 7 or 8 of the Google results. It's not going to come up on the first page. All right. So having a blog is an extra chance on top of your normal website, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. But having a blog is just an extra bite of the cherry for you to get your page ranking more highly on Google. And if you want to know what the keywords are in your industry or in your topic or, for your practice focus or whatever it is, there's a really cool website that's free to use. It's called Answer the Public. And just head over there and you can type in anything you want about counselling and it's going to show you the keywords that people use. All right. And they're the keywords that you want to put in your blog. I think counsellors, psychologists, social workers oftentimes get it backwards and they think, I'm going to write an article today about something I want to write about. That's not how it works with blogging. With blogging with our audience, you need to be talking to them about things that are relevant to them, not to you. You need to be thinking about how you can make their life easier. It's not just about you enjoying the process of writing. There's got to be a strategy behind it. It needs to have a call to action usually. It needs to have backlinks in it. So a backlink is where you include a URL or a hyperlink and you include that to a page on your website. So maybe it's your booking page, for example. That's a common one. And you get bonus points from Google if you put in hyperlinks to other people's websites. Google likes that because it says that, you're recognizing somebody else's work and it wants to reward you for that. It's kind of the opposite of Facebook in a way. So if you're going to blog and you want more information about how to blog to get clients, let me know because I'm happy to do a whole episode on that. But just back to the website, you only need to have a handful of things on the website, but front and center, we need to have, logos are great. Like I'm a big fan of branding. My logo is so simple. You couldn't get any simpler. It's just a crescent moon. That's it. And I've got it everywhere. And now people see the crescent moon and they know it. They know it's, here she goes again. She's going to post something or say something. So logos are great, but don't go over the top with your logo because they don't really resonate much with clients. They're good for brand awareness, but that's not essential for you when you're first starting to get your clients. Brand awareness comes with time. What will help you get clients though is having a really clear message. And that's one of the areas that a lot of counselors could do better with. I think, again, we tend to play it safe. And, you and I both know, and if this is you, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of not sorry because it's going to help you. But if you're somebody who on her website lists every condition in the DSM and says, this is what I can help you with, we've got a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like those great big lists where people will say, I help with anxiety, depression, confidence, children, adults, the elderly, perinatal, prenatal, mothers, fathers, parents, separated parents, divorced parents, women, men, schizophrenia, paranoia, personality disorder, narcissism. And this list just keeps going and going and going. And like I say, so many people do this on Psychology Today. Have you seen it as well? And I just think, what is this saying to a client? It tells me you're desperate and you have a scarcity mindset and you're just saying, oh, I'm so desperate, I'll take anything that walks through the door, and you're booking them in. And that's a problem, because when you have that scarcity mindset, and that's what a client, right? And I could be your client, okay? Anybody listening to this podcast could be your client. Counselors need counselors too. And if we look at your website and you've listed 20 or 30 different things that you help with, that reeks of scarcity mindset, and it's repellent, and it's going to make people say, okay, so you're kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. I'll move on and click over to the next website. You're not going to get work by saying that you do all of those things and you help all of those people. What you need to do though is have a very clear message. You must stand for something. Think about, very common conditions, anxiety and depression. Most of us listening to this podcast have all worked with or will work with clients who come along with one, two, or both of those things, right? But just like, there are 1,300 of us that are listening to this podcast right now, we might all see the same presentation, but we all work with it differently, don't we? The way that I work with somebody with anxiety is more through finding answers within, and let's connect to your soul, and eye of the heart, and let's do it this way. Whereas somebody else might say, oh great, I've got a manual here full of some CBT stuff that's been proven to work, and I can start you on that. And somebody else might be a somatic therapist, and somebody else might do person-centered. So you have to find your voice, and it doesn't have to be limiting. Don't let that scarcity and fear mindset block you, because what happens is when you have a message, you become known for something. All right. If you don't have a message, then you get lost in the white noise, and people will visit your website or they'll look at your social and they'll say, I don't even know what she does or who she helps. Like, there's just such a hodgepodge of stuff here. It's a real mismatch. I don't get it. All right. Now, I can give you a really great example of some beautiful branding and a beautiful feed on a Facebook page and a beautiful website that does this really well. And I'm sure she won't mind me sharing it with you. But if you head over to stateofmindtherapies.com.au, you will get a sense of what I'm talking about. That website is easy on the eye. It's calming, it's sophisticated. We've got a photo there. There's a really nice message there. There's consistency between what's on social media and what's on the website. Do you know what I mean? That's an example of one that you can go and look at that does it really, really well. There are many. That's just the one that's come to my mind now. So don't be afraid to, choose your area and put your stamp on it. Okay. It doesn't have to be controversial like the stuff that I do. You can do it in baby steps. That's fine. And a simple way, if you're thinking, oh gosh, it's really scary, and oh, what if I get into trouble? Or what if I say that this is my message and then nobody books in, I want you to think about it like this. Maybe this is a journal prompt that you can use to help get you on the way. But maybe you say to yourself, if I could only tell my dream client one thing, what would it be? Okay, if I could only tell my dream client one thing, what would it be? What's the one thing I want my client to know? And just use that as your prompt and brainstorm and see what comes through. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing would be to do your research. Click around on other people's websites and see what they're doing. Have a look. We're not competing with each other in our industry, right? Because we all do work differently. But have a look at each other's websites and see what you like, see what you don't, see if it's clear to you what their message is. When you do this, I would encourage you to look at maybe 5 websites and keep a piece of paper beside you to take some notes. But I would like you to take notes for each website that says how I felt when I first landed on it. What was the feeling that was evoked for you when you first saw it? Did you feel calm? Did you feel connected? Did you feel inspired? Did you feel confident that they could help you? Did you feel disinterested right from the beginning, like it just didn't grab you? So make a note of how it felt when you saw the website. Maybe make a note of, where you felt it in your body even, like what came through to you, because it's okay to tune into your body. Then have a look and see if it's clear, if they have a clear message and if you could articulate it. And just write yes or no, like have a little column that says clear message, yes or no. And if it's a clear message and you feel like you could articulate that, you put a yes, and if it's not, you put a no. Maybe make a note for yourself about, was it easy to navigate? Did it have all the information you needed? Did it have extra information you found helpful? Was the blog current or was it outdated? Things like that. So have a look at that as well. And then come back to your website and assess your own. Do a mini audit on your website after you've had a look at a few others and just see how you feel about yours now. Okay. And really, as part of this mini audit, ask yourself, is it clear to somebody what my message is? Is it clear to somebody who I work with and how I work with them and how I help them? And here's the thing, this is such a problem. A lot of therapists will write down all their therapeutic modalities, and it feels good to us to say, oh, well, we do this, that, and the other. But a lot of the time, depending on who you're working with, and of course there are exceptions to the rules, but in my opinion and my experience, a lot of the time clients don't care about the therapeutic modality that you're using. Some will, as I said, but most of the time they don't. Think about what has motivated a client to come and click on your website. I think if a client is clicking on your website and they're serious about getting some support, I think they probably needed support maybe a long time ago. I think maybe they're approaching the pointy end of the stick, like things are getting worse, not better. They've probably been getting, support from friends and family and, partners and stuff like that, which is nice, but it's not actually fixing anything. They're probably at the point where maybe they're thinking people in their lives are sick of hearing about it, so they've started to not talk about it as much, but it's still very present and real for them. They're probably finding that they're being affected by something that to them is so big and powerful that it's starting to impact how they function at work or how they function at home. Maybe they're not liking this version of themselves as a result of what they're trying to deal with. And I think that they're clicking on websites now because they're preparing themselves to take action. And that action is booking in for an appointment. So they're kind of there, they know that they need help now. It's beyond, peer support and family support and stuff like that. They know that they're needing some kind of more professional support. Now, if they come along and see your website and all these therapeutic modalities and how you help with 47 odd conditions, that's going to be very overwhelming. It's much better if you're very clear about who you work with and your capacity to take new people on. Think about the questions that might be going through that person's mind. They're probably thinking, can this therapist fix it? Can she take away my pain? Can she make it better? Can she make it go away? That's probably the first thing that they're thinking. They're probably thinking, how long is it going to take for me to feel better? Maybe you could check if you say this on your website. This is how I can help you feel better. And on average, this is how long it might take, but it's going to be different for everybody. You might be thinking, what can I expect? Like, what's going to happen in a first session? Will there be any paperwork for me to fill out? What about privacy? What if my partner rings and finds out that I'm going to therapy? Is my therapist going to tell my partner everything? They might be thinking about stigma and shame. They might be thinking that they really want to take that next step and book an appointment with you, but they're not feeling safe as a result of something that they've seen on your website. So think about how you can convey to that potential scared, nervous, fearful, anxious, sad, depressed client that it's safe for them to book an appointment with you, right? And the other thing is keeping in mind that when people are looking for counsellors, they're often in an emotional headspace. I think you'd agree with that. They're often in an emotional headspace. So if you have things on your page that say, to book an appointment, fill out this contact form and I'll get back in touch with you by email within 72 hours, and check your junk mail and, check your spam folder. And do you know what? You've lost me. All of a sudden, it's just become really hard to book an appointment with you. Likewise, if you haven't embedded or you don't have a link to your online booking system, you've lost me, because again, it's just my personal opinion, but I think a lot of the time with clients that we work with, it might be a really big deal for them to pick up the phone and verbalize, to a stranger that they need an appointment, and to have to deal with that. I think they've taken a big enough step coming to the website. Let's make it easy for them to book that first appointment. And so think about your clients. Now, I'm talking about mental health clients here, right? But I know there are so many clients in counselling that aren't mental health ones. But think about your clients and what would they find the easiest way to book an appointment with you? And how can you make this super duper easy for them, right? And maybe that's something that you work on, and that becomes an update to your website. Really simplify everything. When it comes to photos on your website, it's so great to see so many of you putting them out there. However, a photo of you in your car with the seat belt on and the steering wheel in the front and the headrest in the back is not a professional photo, and it's not a photo that's going to resonate in the way that perhaps you would like it to with your audience. They're probably photos that you could use for something else, but not on your website. Okay. If you need to do a selfie, that's fine. There are many ways that you can do that. I take selfies all the time. I don't have a housemate. I don't have a partner. It's just me and my dog. I'm totally relying on myself for taking my photos. You can get a little tripod and you can take the tripod to all different parts of the office or the backyard or wherever it is you're at the beach. You can take your tripod anywhere and snap 20 or 30 photos of yourself and keep the one you like. Another thing that you can do is just use your regular phone, but make sure it's up nice and high so, it looks a little bit more professional. You usually want to be looking up just a little bit higher than eye level. Make sure it's got good lighting. Use a nice filter. Not a character filter, obviously, but use a nice filter like the golden light, or the warm light. And the other thing is too, when you have a selfie, maybe you're not too happy with the background, but you like what you're wearing and your smile and your hair and all that all looks good, but you've got the kids in the background by accident or something. What you can do is just upload that photo to Canva, click on effects, and the very first effect available to you there is a background remover. Click the background remover. It will remove all of that noise in the background, and it will just leave your beautiful face and t-shirt or top or jacket or whatever, and hair, and then you can just use that. And that's a very professional way of doing your photo. When it comes to should you be posting on Facebook and Instagram and email and have a podcast and do all of these things? My advice to you would be understand where your clients mostly are. So I know my clients are mostly on Facebook. So understand where your clients mostly are, and they might not be on Facebook. They might be on LinkedIn if perhaps they're, I don't know, executives and professionals. I'm just totally generalizing here. I'm not a LinkedIn aficionado. I don't know much about it, but think about Instagram. If you're working with teens, maybe they're likely to be on Instagram. If you're working with brands, they're probably likely going to be on Instagram over Facebook. So think about where your audience spends most of their time, and if they're not online, that's totally fine. All it means is we tweak your website and we update all of that, and maybe we get a nice little email list going, and then you will never have to touch Facebook. You will never have to have a group. You will never have to have Instagram. You can just have those things for personal pleasure and fun, and keep them totally separate from work. Find the one platform your audience spends the most time on, and let's master that. Don't worry about anything else. Okay? Don't. If you're concerned about your business Facebook page, don't be worried about that. The only reason you would really have one is if you're going to be running ads. There are terms and conditions with Facebook that say on your personal profile, it should be personal stuff, and you shouldn't be talking about work and everything. That's fine. But with the Facebook business page, it's going to allow you to do things like boost posts, increase your reach, get out to a bigger audience and things like that. But Facebook business pages are notorious for having low engagement, especially after the latest changes that happen to, everybody talks about the algorithms with Facebook, but there was a change a few months ago where Facebook became very, very focused on building communities. So what happened was all of a sudden groups get preferential treatment over a Facebook business page. The purpose of having a Facebook business page from the Facebook perspective is it's what funds us to have the free stuff like our personal profiles and everything, right? It's businesses that pay to keep Facebook open and going. It's everybody boosting posts that keep Facebook free for everybody else and stuff like that. So that's why if you're having low engagement, it's because business isn't considered by Facebook to meet the original intention, which was to connect people. Okay, whether or not you agree with that, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know because I'm part of the Facebook developers circle. So I know what's going on. So anyway, don't get too disheartened if there's low engagement. just keep in mind that it's there to help you build your audience, and you can do that. Usually, the best way is through a Facebook ad. When you do an ad or you boost, it becomes sponsored. Okay. So if you see in your feed that somebody's sharing a post and it says sponsored, it means they've paid to get it in front of you. All right. What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. If it was important, it will come back to me. So I could talk about this for days and days and days. When you're posting on social media, of course, brand everything because we want to build the brand awareness. So in answer to the question, where do I need to be and what do I need to be doing? I think I've answered it. Choose one platform, but not your favorite platform, the platform where your audience is. And if you don't know, maybe you could do some research and find out where they might be. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is have a message. Okay. We need to know who you are and what you're about and and that's okay for you to be different. You're already different. We don't have to hide that. You're already different. You've already bringing your own style and flavor to the process. Something we haven't touched on yet that I'll touch on briefly for you now is having a, very clear purpose for the posting. So again, this is something that happens a lot. People just post for the sake of posting. There's no rhyme or reason. And then there's a flurry of posting, when they want to sell something. Not fantastic, okay? So there are many, many reasons why you might want to get content in front of people. It could be that you just simply want to raise brand awareness. It could be that you want to drive traffic to your website or to a service or to a product or an offer that you've got going. It could be that you want people to watch your videos. It could be that you want people to send you messages. It could be that you want people to download your favorite opt-in. It could be any number of it could be that you want them to book an appointment. So you have to be very, very clear why you are writing content. And you have to hold that in your mind when you make a plan of all the things you want to post. And the simplest way to do that, I'll tell you what I do. I look at my values and then I think to myself, okay, what are my values and how can I share those values in a way that's going to land for my audience? And what's my intention? Why do I want to share my values now? So I might say to myself, well, my intention is to connect with people that are on the same page as me. All right. So I know if I start talking about my values and I do that for a little while and people unsubscribe or they stop following me and things like that, that's okay because I know they're not aligned with my values and that's fine. And I know new people will subscribe and new people will listen or watch or join or whatever it is. Because they do align with my values. They say, yes, exactly. I get it. Where have you been all my life? So really be clear about what your intention is. And here's a tip. If your intention is you're posting solely to fill your diary, then you have to understand it's going to be unlikely that people book appointments with you in the short term. And the reason for that is because they're not likely to book an appointment with someone they don't know unless you're the cheapest therapist in your area. I'm just going back to what we were talking about before. I mean, there might be other reasons, but that's one of the common ones. And you don't want to be chosen because you're the cheapest. Now, I've just lost my train of thought again. Guys, what's happening here? What was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. When it comes to marketing so that you get bookings from new clients, on average, the industry data says that you can be looking at around 90 days before people will convert. And that means a conversion from watching, following, listening, whatever, to booking a call and seeing whether or not you can help them and support them and then convert from there into an actual booking. So understand that if that's your goal, it's going to be more of a long game. What you can do to try and build momentum with that is, of course, post more frequently. If your goal is to get bookings, because we want these people getting to know you, and what gets seen gets paid. So that's what I'm saying. Stop sharing other people's stuff. It doesn't work. What gets seen gets paid. So you really want to make sure that if you're posting with the intention of getting clients, that what you're posting speaks to them. So stop being safe, stop being vanilla, have a point of view. You're not going to get into trouble for it. It's safe for you to have a point of view. Have it, share it, speak it. Yes, people are going to leave, but new people will come. It's business, all right? Attrition happens, growth happens. And we need to become resilient so that we can deal with that. I was just going to say something else, but I've forgotten that too. My goodness me. Look, how about we leave it there for today, because I think you've got loads of ideas now about moving forward. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Sorry, I remember now. Post regularly. It doesn't have to be every day, but the more often you post, if it's social or if you're doing a website, make little changes every day to your website. Every time you go in and refresh your website, Google will give you a pat on the back. Even if you just, delete a word and retype it, Google will give you a pat on the back because you've been in there and you've given it some love. So if it's your email list, do it a little bit more regularly. You don't have to write slabs of content. I know I'm guilty of that, but I know my audience, you guys, often respond better to a longer post than a short one from me. But find out what your audience likes. Experiment. See what response you get to something short versus something long, something with a picture versus something without a picture. Start tracking this for yourself so that you get to see what's going to work. But most importantly, be clear about what you're trying to achieve by posting. Track it, brand everything, have a voice, and have a really, really clear message, and make it very, very easy for them to book an appointment. They're probably not going to go from, reading an email or checking your website straight to booking an appointment. They'll probably come back a couple of times. So give them, something new to read, or give them something to download or take away so that they can get a little sample of what it might be like to work with you. Okay, make that client journey as simple and painless as possible. Okay, and of course, I think you all know, but I'm a private practice coach, and if you need help with this, of course, you and I can sit down and have a conversation. And it may be that some coaching would be helpful for you around this, but I'm sure that the content that I've shared today would absolutely be enough for most of you to make some really big improvements on everything that you've done. Okay, so hope this helped. Let me know, and good luck with it all, guys. Have a beautiful Wednesday. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.